Hi, Nick Park here from Evangelical Alliance, and this is our weekly video. It's Friday, but Sunday is coming. And today is Friday, the 3rd of July. And of course, this Sunday was supposed to be Church Reopening Sunday. I think we all had different expectations of what this Sunday would look like. I remember early on in the coronavirus pandemic, pastors saying, "Oh man, the Sunday that church starts again, we're just all going to be rushing back. It's going to be amazing." Well, churches, when they did begin to reopen in other parts of the world where they opened sooner than us, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, they found that instead of everybody rushing back, it was a bit slow. Some people came back, some people decided they would wait a while. And then we had this idea as well that when we had the date, and when the date was moved forward from Sunday 26th to Sunday the 5th of July, that this would be a great church reopening Sunday with all the churches in the country reopening. And that has been basically affected by the confusion over the 50-person limit that we were told that it would apply. And then the Taoiseach made a statement that it would not apply, that it would be churches would be exempt. Then the government did a U-turn on that. And as a result of that, some churches are not opening this Sunday. They're holding back because particularly some of the larger churches finding it very difficult that have to do multiple service. The church that I pastor, we've got 4 services planned for this Sunday and may have to add a 5th service. We'll see how bookings come in. But it's not been quite what we imagined. Nevertheless, I do believe it is a significant step that churches all over the nation, if not all of them, are able to recommence in-person church services this coming Sunday. We did celebrate that fact on Monday night with a praise night, Evangelical Alliance working together with the National Praise Day team and a few others. We produced a National Praise Night online praise concert with contributions from many different churches across the nation. I was just so blessed and so blown away by several things, by the diversity that was on display. Whenever we hear so much talk about racism, to see so much variety in the body of Christ and harmony, and also the tremendous numbers of young people involved in praise and worship teams across the nation was again a great encouragement for me personally. We've also had to deal in our own local church with an attempt at sabotage, as we have been using Eventbrite to basically get people to book in for their seats. We had somebody trying to book 20 seats in one of our services, trying to book it out so that people genuinely coming to church would be denied the opportunity and that it would register as full. It was a very clumsy attempt and we were able to detect it and rectify it straight away. But it just shows that being a leader of a church today is more complicated than it used to be. For many pastors, they have decisions to make. For pastors that are having church this Sunday, some people are going to criticize them for that. For pastors who are not having church, others are going to criticize them. People will be criticized if churches are requiring masks to be worn, and you'll be criticized if you don't require masks to be worn. In fact, if pastors are in the ministry to try to please people, they're going to have a dreadful time of it at the moment. We just need to do what the Lord is leading us to do and try to please God and to walk scripturally and righteously and in faith. Now, who would have imagined that something as simple as wearing a mask would become a subject of controversy in Christian churches? I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like wearing a mask. You know, it muffles my voice, and my voice is important to me. But I don't like wearing masks anyway. I don't like wearing masks because I'm a direct kind of a person. I like to be able to see somebody's face. I like to, when I'm speaking to somebody, I want to look them in the eye. I want to be direct. I actually don't like communicating with people even by text, telephone, WhatsApp messages, these kinds of things. Again and again, people want to discuss deep issues through these media, and I say, let's meet, let's talk face to face, because I believe there's no substitute for sitting down in front of somebody face to face, looking them in the eye, and being honest and direct. Funny thing about that is I remember some months back, we had an event in our church for different churches that are part of the denomination we belong to in Ireland. And there were two people meeting there, thought they were meeting for the first time. And I said, hang on, do you two not know each other? I know you've worked in the same hospital. One was a doctor, one was a nurse. And what they did next, they both put their hands up like that and said, oh yes, I recognize you. I've seen you in the operating room, because they'd only ever seen each other with masks on. I also am aware I look stupid wearing a mask. And even I tried to get a camouflaged mask that would look a bit more manly. It doesn't work very well. I find when I wear a mask that when I put my glasses on, I'm in a shop and I'm looking and try to put my reading glasses on to see the price of something. My glasses steam up because of the mask. So I don't like wearing it, but I do wear it. And the reason I wear a mask is nothing to do with a political statement. I believe it's absolutely insane that whether to wear a mask or not is seen as a political issue. I mean, I know that politics in the United States has been dysfunctional for a long time, and people in Ireland get emails from there. But the idea that wearing a mask should be a political statement for one side or another, and people abusing one another for wearing or not wearing a mask because they think, oh, they must have a different political viewpoint to me, is absolutely nuts, that we should have no room for in this country. Now, the scientific advice, the consensus from scientific advice is that masks help us prevent spreading infection. Now, I know there are people who will pull out some statement by a scientist or a doctor from months ago and say, look, they weren't recommending masks then, now they're recommending it now. This is proof that this is all a hoax. No, it's not. It's proof that the scientists, like all the rest of us, are dealing with something that's new. They're having to deal with a disease that they knew very little about at the beginning, and they're learning more and more about it. And therefore, of course, their perspectives will change on it. We shouldn't expect anything else. So the consensus of scientific advice is that masks help prevent spread infection. It's not about fear. And there's this idea that wearing a mask looks unmanly. And actually, men are much more reluctant to wear masks than women. And there is this idea that it makes us look like we're afraid, and men shouldn't be afraid. But the fact is, wearing a mask has nothing to do with fear. The reason that we should wear a mask whenever we're unable to distance from people properly or in crowded settings is not because we're afraid of catching anything, but because we don't want to spread it, because we could be asymptomatic and spread through coughing or sneezing or whatever, and a mask can help prevent that. And yes, maybe you don't like wearing a mask because it makes you look stupid. I think my mask makes me look stupid. But right now there's bigger considerations in this world than whether I look stupid or not. And the people that think I look stupid in a mask, well, a lot of them think I'm stupid anyway because they've disagreed with things I've said in the past. Now, wearing masks for me shows love for others. It shows concern. It shows that you are prepared to put other people's needs before you. Now, people say, oh, well, you should just have faith that you won't pass infection. But, you know, there's a very simple analogy here. If I drive my car onto a housing estate and there are signs saying that children are playing, I should go slow, I don't say, oh, well, I'm going to drive in faith. God will stop me running any children over. No, I slow down. Not because I'm particularly scared of getting prosecuted if I don't, but rather because I don't want to run a child over, and I would rather drive too slow than too fast when children are around. So for me, wearing a mask is a way that I can show love for others. And so when I find myself in a shopping centre or whatever else, or this weekend when I'm in church services, when I'm not having to speak and my voice isn't going to be muffled, then I will be having my mask on. That's something I'm choosing to do. In our church, we are having one service where masks will be mandatory, and that's one that people that are elderly and vulnerable can attend and feel perfectly safe and more protected in doing so. The rest of our services, masks are not mandatory, but they are recommended. But people will not be forced to. They're not mandatory. Now, let me just say this. Even though I believe that wearing a mask is a way of showing love for others, it's no point having the symbol of love if you don't practice the reality. So getting mad at somebody else for not wearing a mask or judging them because of it, that is itself a lack of love. And as for getting annoyed at people for wearing a mask, well, that's just idiocy, indeed, as well. So we should not be going around getting annoyed at people because somebody's wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. We should look at our own reasons for why we make the choices that we make, but we should not be judging somebody else or showing a lack of love. We are supposed to be people of love. For me, being a person of love means where I think it's appropriate, I will wear a mask in order to protect others. If you disagree with me, that's fine. That's up to you. But please, as Christians in this country, let's be more grown up than to fall out with each other over something as inconsequential as whether we choose to wear a mask or not. These things should not divide us. And if they do divide us, it's a sign of sickness in our society, but also a sign of sickness in the church that we would actually allow things like that to divide us. You know, if you're, whatever way you're having church this weekend, if you're having church on Sunday in an online format again, praise God, may God bless you richly. If your church is meeting wearing masks, may God bless you as you wear a mask. If you're going to be in a church where you don't have to wear a mask in a service and you're not going to wear a mask, may God bless you in that service also. I just pray that you will have a great weekend, because while it might be Friday, Sunday's coming.